The question of the evening is side pussy, the importance of it. And we were just talking about it, but there's a deeper meaning of this. You know, it really has to do with how important it is as a man or even as a woman to feel that sexual gratification. And so in society, sex is kind of played like, oh, well, you know, it's okay to have sex. It's okay to be sexual, but it has to be PC and it has to be in a relationship, or it has to be something that's passable by society and not hurting anybody. But the reality of sex is so much different. And I want to talk about the benefits of that carnal side. And this is both for women and both for men. And it many points in your life and throughout your life, you're going to have that urge of how important and how awesome it is to feel like a sexual being, to feel your whole body as a sexual thing, to have somebody want it, to have somebody want your dick, to love your dick, to love your body, to suck your dick, to fuck your dick, to be that man, that woman that we all dream of, right? Is just that sexual opportunity. You know, to have that moment of pure objectification, pure sexual pleasure. You know, pure expression of masculinity that isn't supposed to be talked about. And on the other side, that pure expression of femininity that isn't supposed to be talked about. And see, where we get this wrong is when we think objectification or being a slut or being a misogynist or being a sexual being or being a man that uses his dick only for the purpose of fucking is the only way a man can be. But what we don't realize, and the fear of that idea, is that we don't allow a man or a woman ever to be that. And that's a true shame. And so in order for us to fulfill that part of sexuality, we have to rebel. We have to rebel. You know, and let's take a step into then the relationship world, because this is really where this came up in. And I was talking with a couple of other gentlemen on the call and within the TSL community about what happens when we've cheated. What happens when we've gone outside of our relationship and started to have sex with other people, whether it was a hookup or a full-blown other relationship and affair. You know, what happens? You know, and why does it happen? Because the fact of the matter is not just the majority of people have this happen, men and women, not just the majority of them cheat, but close to all people in relationships have this happen. Now, of course, if you don't do that, that's fine. And that's fine if you don't want that. But the fact is that most of humanity has this phenomenon happen, right? And we've talked about this a lot. You know, monogamy is a great thing. You know, open relationships are a great thing, but they're all man-made concepts trying to fit in these urges that we have, which are very natural. It's very natural for us to want to be monogamous at multiple points in our life and at even multiple points in our relationship. But then there's this other thing that happens where we get sexually aroused. We go outside of it. Our body takes over. We're put in an awkward situation where our body and our brains, our biology does what we're supposed to do, and we have sex with another human being. And the interesting thing that happens is when women do this, they carry around a certain level of guilt that, I mean, of course, everybody's so different, but I've really seen the distinction when women have certain affairs or they cheat or have like a one-time hookup. The guilt is, it's such a different flavor. It's like, oh man, I feel dirty or I feel like bad. I don't want to talk to my man because I did this wrong thing. And there's so much of that. Whereas a man, and he does it, he has this guilt that is like, man, I fucking let somebody down. I did this. I'm a bad dude. It's just this weird, guilt is guilt, but it's just a different subtle flavor that's very distinct if you ever talk to both men and women about this sort of thing. But the crazy thing is rather than seeing this as possibly a normal thing, and you're going to, if this happens to you, you may have that level of guilt. You most likely will have it. And it'll pass, but don't have it teach you something. Don't have it tell you something. Don't have it force you to be something, because guess what? That's where we get into that rebellion that we were talking about. That rebellion which says, because I did this act, I have to be a misogynist. Because I did this act, I'm a cheater. Because I did this act, if you're a woman, I'm a whore. No, there's a part of you that has that carnal fulfillment that needs to be fulfilled. And that if you're in a relationship, and one thing that people don't talk about is that you're in a relationship for 4 months, 6 months, years, even decades, your sexual attraction is going to diminish from that person. You're no longer going to feel excited to see her breasts, to eat her pussy, to have sex with her in different ways, to have her or suck your dick in different ways. And you guys could be compatible on every level, but those things are going to come down. They're going to change. We need to build the dialogue of that, because if we don't, then we just deal with the reality and the isolation of people fucking other people, not talking about it, reacting to it, and thinking they're some like bad, evil person. But the interesting thing is within our groups, we have a lot of different experienced men, and there's no judgment. And of course, it's like, be honest with who you're dating and sleeping with and all those different things. And I'll actually get to that here in a little bit as well. But man, a lot of people have affairs. A lot of people cheat. And at this point within our groups, with people doing that, it's such a common thing, or this person has done it so much that it's like, you know what? I don't need to have guilt over this. I'm not going to beat the shit out of myself. I did an action. And this is actually one thing that we talked about. I was just talking about one of my female friends with this the other night, because she had cheated on her boyfriend, and she really loves her boyfriend. They're great, but she was all fucked up about it. And I was like, look, dude, the worst thing you could do, the absolute worst thing you could do right now is make a decision based off of your confusion. It might be right that you guys need to break up. It might be right that you need to fuck other dudes. It might be right that you need to just be loyal to him. It might be right that all these different options that are going through your head, but you're confused. And if you're confused, you can't make a decision, and you're forcing yourself to be confused because you haven't explored the meaning. And let's cut that fucking guilt out of it and actually get to the real thing. And if you want to know you're one wrong in this is that you broke someone's trust. And that's a big deal in a relationship. All right. I'm not minimizing that. You, like somebody put faith in you, and you did the wrong thing. You did the opposite thing. But that doesn't mean that you're a terrible person. That doesn't mean you're the worst person in society. That doesn't mean that all the feelings that you're feeling right now about your sexuality are true. That means that you broke somebody's trust. You broke the contract. And the reality of it is, this is another thing. The reality of it is that if you got caught, or if you copped to it, or whatever it was, you got caught, just say, hey, look, yeah, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I'm out of here. Give me a couple days, and we can talk about whatever, but I don't want any drama. And usually what happens if you take that road is people do get back together. Now, they built a lot of drama and it caused some damage. It's not the best thing, and I wouldn't recommend it by any means, but that is the usual process that happens when people have had a relationship in those ways. The thing is that, man, we make it so much that we are this fucked up person, that we need to be honest, or that we have, just totally done one of the worst things in society, when it's actually one of the things that almost every single human being on earth will do in their relationship. We have done something that is a sexual expression. And when guys get past that and they start talking about it as well as women, guess what? The other beauties start to come to light. So once we get that guilt out of the way, we can start to go like, well, wait a minute. Fuck, I felt like a man again. I felt like my dick worked again. I hear women talk about, I feel like a woman again. I feel like my breasts are hot again. I feel that my pussy is a beautiful thing. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with feeling that feeling, because you need to. And if you've been in a relationship and haven't had that, then, man, guess what? That represses, and it builds, and it breaks. Okay? And that presents a problem. That presents a problem. How do we communicate this? How do we deal with it? And a lot of people, go that route of not telling anybody. And again, look, let's not get all judgmental about it. Let's actually talk about what people do. And I also want to bring up this, because we were talking about, like, how do you be honest? How do you talk about these things? Man, I'm so fucking sick of hearing dating coaches, life coaches, all these men's people, or even, women or women who are coaching and giving advice on this, is saying like, man, if you don't do this, you're a piece of shit. If you don't do this, you're a dirtbag. If you can't man up and tell your woman that you want an open relationship, you have to lie to her. Fuck you. The fact of the matter is every single dating coach I know who's done that has been confused as fuck and actually done that. Because it's hard as fuck to be able to present these things to somebody. And you know what? Guess what? Sometimes it's damaging. Sometimes it's really hurtful. And I think one of the things that we got to realize is we have to start looking at different ways of having relationships. There's some things that you should not tell your partner. It's purely for selfish reasons. Like, for instance, if you've cheated on somebody, if you've actually cheated on somebody and your partner doesn't know and you're all fucked up about, the guilt and the shame of it, sure, there could be a time and a place where you actually do talk to them and you have to have that talk. But if it is your guilt saying that, oh my God, I got to say this to get it off your chest or whatever, man, that's the most selfish fucking thing you could do. Just because you're in pain, just because you can't handle the pressure of something that you did wrong, so you can't be responsible for the situation and the feelings that situation created, you're going to go fuck up somebody else's life, totally unprepared, totally not knowing how it may have affected you and why you did it, and totally not knowing how it may affect them. Man, why would you do that? That's like the most irresponsible thing to do. Now, yeah, at some point you can talk about it, but man, be fucking prepared. Look at yourself, examine who you are, and have those things start working for you. And the other thing too is like, man, if I'm turned on by somebody else, do I need to bring that up? If I, want to jerk off to whatever, pornography or, somebody else's image or somebody flirting with me, do I need to tell somebody that? Do I need to tell somebody that I care about them? Why? Just because we're supposed to be open? Just because we're supposed to know? No. Because I don't buy that either. It's because, again, you feel like you have to, or else you're not in a good relationship. We need to start making decisions for ourselves, people, right? What could actually harm somebody? What could actually make somebody feel bad? What could cause drama where drama doesn't need to be? And how do we actually hold on to that tension? See, women in a relationship, if they're, attractive and so on, and even if they're not, man, they get hit on all the time. There's this feeling of sexuality that comes about. And of course, there could be good ways and bad ways to that, or bad things to it and so on. But men in a relationship don't have that happen. Men generally, whether it's culturally or it's actually like a evolutionary thing, and it's pretty much an evolutionary thing, but men go out and pursue women generally, especially in our culture, especially in many of the cultures around the world. But the thing is that men never get hit on. If we're in a relationship, man, we're not getting that vibe. You need to get that. And look, I'll tell you this, and this is perhaps the main point of it, sorry it took me so long to get to it, is guys that have cheated and guys that can get past the guilt, get past and process the exact wrong and not have it tie up and mean something else, is when they do this, they feel more attracted to their partner. When you get your dick sucked by another girl or fucked by another girl and it's awesome and she feels that power and now you're harder than you've been in, X amount of time since you've been with this girl and you're having this great experience. God, it doesn't just take the edge off of your relationship. It makes you feel sexually charged. It makes you feel complete. It makes you feel that necessary feeling of what it means to be a sexual man again, to give, to put yourself completely into a woman and have her react as she would. It's not because you're a whore. It's not because she's a whore. It's because there's a side of you that likes to feel that way in very selective moments. And it's necessary for you to feel sexually healthy and complete. Every time I've done that, I've gone back to whoever I'm with, whether it's a long-term, very committed girlfriend, a girl that I'm just seeing, and man, been so much more complete in being able to find the attractiveness in her again, to find the beauty in all of her body, to want to give all those things. It reawakens something. Now, that being said, it's a horrible way to find normality and an even keel of sexuality. It's not an even keel. There's a lot of drama added in that. But it's an interesting phenomenon that happens. And why does that happen? There's a reason why, if I do this, I'm extremely careful in my life now, because it causes a bunch of other crazy shit. But we've got to look at sex. We've got to be honest about it. I'm so sick of hearing everybody harp on this, like, bring this up. If you can't be monogamous and you don't tell your woman, you're half a man. If you don't, or if how you break up with her is going to be blah, 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 no, man. No, these are hard emotional things that are very hard to process. And the fact of the matter is anybody who gives advice generally kind of breaks it, at least from what I've personally known to them. And in that core of us that God means so much sexually and means so much in relationships, when we have to put a barrier in front of it, when we have to confine it in a box, when we have to take it away, when we try and control it, man, that's a lot of powerful shit that your emotions, your body, your everything is fighting against. So look, man, having some side pussy, having some side sex at every point in your life, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, any of these different things, I think is very important to look and pursue that side of a man that is to be sexual and no longer feel bad about it. Start building a dialogue of this is a necessary phenomenon for both men and women. And just because it's a necessary phenomenon doesn't mean that all women are whores in every moment of their life. But it means that all women and all men, at certain parts of their life, that beautiful part of sexuality comes out that makes them such an amazing, unique individual. God, man, needs to come out, needs to show its teeth and let itself be satiated to completion, right? Man, it's a fucking great thing. In any case.